Welcome back to the Growing for the Gold Success Club. I'm Justin, and I hope you guys are having just as much fun learning about all this stuff, all this cryptocurrency talk, and just learning kind of a new language together. I know I've been having a blast just learning and growing, and I really think that we are on a new frontier. We're heading in a new direction, and one of the conversations that I have a lot of is, do you really think that this virtual cryptocurrency could replace something like the US dollar? And I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the mental leaps that may have to happen for something like that to occur. But I do think it's possible, and I do think it's intriguing. So we'll have an open discussion. It'll be fun, theoretical, and hopefully you'll come back after this video. We'll talk a little bit more about it. One of the questions that I've been asked, and that I've been asking myself a lot is, with all this excitement and all this kind of, beginning stages of mass adoption with cryptocurrencies, is this something that legitimately could replace something like the US dollar? And, could it be something that in the future, this would be the type of technology or the type of currency that we would use on a day-to-day basis? Now, at the time of this video right now, obviously we're just in the beginning processes of all this, and there's a lot of skepticism about it. There's just the beginning stages of some kind of adoption with all of this kind of stuff, but people aren't exactly sure. They're a little bit uncomfortable. They're not sure how far it's going to go, how big it's going to be, and that's exciting. I think that makes it an exciting time. And so let's talk a little bit about the shift from maybe a US dollar to a virtual currency. And I'm going to talk from my standpoint, my own personal belief of, why I think something like that could happen in the future. And let's just set the stage a little bit. You see it all the time with new generations. Like, for instance, you saw, back in the day, a couple decades ago, you saw the internet that was introduced. And, there was some people that adopted it early. There were some people that kind of got on board with it to a certain extent. And then there's certain people that just wanted nothing to do with it. And that's still the case. I mean, here we are, 20 years later into the internet revolution, and you still have people that, really don't want anything to do with the internet. You still have people that maybe just only want to use it for the email type of stuff, or to play a couple games. And then you got people that use it for all other kinds of reasons. And there's a major gap. There's a major kind of generational gap that was left because some people didn't want to take that leap. But the thing is, the internet still happened, regardless of whether or not they wanted it to or we wanted it to. It happened and it occurred, and the masses adopted it, and it's been used in business ever since. And the same type of transition, I think, is happening right now with blockchain technology and with cryptocurrencies. And so let me explain, what I think it would take and kind of the mental leaps that people would need to take to move into the crypto virtual currency, virtual online type of economy. So first, one of the main reasons that I think that it is possible is because I think people instinctively know that the value of our US dollar is corroding at its foundation. Every year we're seeing inflation rise. We're seeing the value of our dollar shrink. And you can see it across how people look at our dollar internationally. It's been, really struggling. And, in a long term, I think people know that eventually the dollar will fail. And so in some ways, I think people are already looking. The reason why cryptocurrencies have even gained so much attention and started to, grow so much over the last, year or 2 years is because people instinctively know that some kind of change needs to happen if we're going to survive with, how we're going with our US dollar and the euros and kind of worldwide currencies. The fiat currency system is failing, and I think people instinctively know it. Whether they want to admit it or not, they know something needs to change. And so one of the things that I think is really interesting about this topic, about this thought, is that, as we're going into this next kind of crypto age, I don't know, atomic age, I think I heard it called, it's very exciting because I think people are also instinctively sort of set up and geared toward having something virtual. And here's what I mean. People have been using debit cards and credit cards for years. They've already had the background that, man, I don't need to have cash to exchange value. And when it comes to cryptocurrencies, we're doing the same exact thing that, say, like debit cards do, except just taking it and using new technology and doing it maybe a little bit differently and a little bit more even securely. So I think the case for a virtual currency isn't as far off as most people think. I think many people sort of realize that that's the direction that we're headed, and that this inevitably, in some form, cryptocurrencies is kind of the next step in that process and that growth and that development. And so I think that's why you're seeing a lot of mass adoption with what's going on right now. In the future, in order for cryptocurrencies to be kind of a mainstream, replace the US dollar, replace some of these other fiat currencies, what you're going to need to see is that it becomes more simple to understand for the average user. I think you're going to, if we could make it so that atomic swaps are, normal, and an atomic swap basically is just saying, that you and I can exchange any type of cryptocurrency tokens or coins, exchange however we would like, and we can do it in a decentralized way, just you and I together, no centralized exchange or anything like that. I think if we can unify all the tokens and make it really its own ecosystem, then I think feasibly moving away from the US dollar is a logical step. I think many people would get on board with that. Now, I don't think that the governments are going to be happy about that. I don't think the governments are just going to let that happen and let the control slip. But I think what you might see is something like, the US government creating their own cryptocurrency, or maybe, China creating their own cryptocurrency, or some of the, all these governments just kind of developing their own blockchain technology and trying to get people to buy into that and force people into that, just the same as the way that they've done with the US dollar over the years. Now, here's the deal. I had one friend say something like, yeah, but there's no value. There's nothing that you, like, at least with the US dollar, you have a piece of paper that you're holding. And, with cryptocurrencies, you're not getting anything. And I agree that's true, but I also agree that people have found a way to say that that piece of paper has value. I also believe people will, quickly just sort of say, all right, these tokens will have value just the same. And so I don't think it's that far off of a leap that we could go from, where we are right now to one day in the future having blockchain and cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or something along those lines, really taking over and doing something, making a shift into a virtual online or virtual type of currency like cryptocurrency. So anyway, those are just my thoughts about, what's happening and what kind of mental leaps that people will need to make as we start to move forward in the next generation, next process. Hopefully this information is helpful. You may agree or disagree with these thoughts or these comments, but I just thought it'd be fun to have this conversation. So if you have any thoughts that you want to add or comments, feel free to put them in the comment box below. Also subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it if you share it, and we hope that you'll join us with our next video. Thanks for watching Growing for the Gold, and we'll see you next time.